100 years from now, everyone who's living on this planet will be dead.
Bioterrorism is a threat. It's very, very difficult when you have to prepare for something that might not ever happen. So I have been very much involved in the preparedness for biodefense by developing vaccines, therapeutics, diagnostics for the category A and B agents that are of the highest calculated risk by our home.
A bioterrorist attack may be initially difficult to identify and could go undetected for days.
In the weeks after September 11th, a stunned United States was rattled by another series of attacks, employing not large commercial aircraft, but microscopic spores of Bacillus anthracis, anthrax. 5 people died as authorities scrambled to find the source of the attack. Scientists from the Centers for Disease Control and the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases, or USAMRID, immediately began analyzing the anthrax samples. While examining the spores from the letter sent to Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle, they made a shocking discovery.
I and my team looked at it by scanning electron microscopy just to get an idea of what its nature was, and we were amazed at how concentrated and how purified this material was. The observation was made very early that the powder seemed to be very energetic. It just sort of floated like smoke.
This was exceptionally pure and well-engineered anthrax. The spores had apparently been treated with an electrostatic charge, so they repelled each other rather than clinging together, making them easily dispersed and inhaled. The 2 grams of bioagent found in the Senate building contained 1 trillion spores per gram. If it could somehow be perfectly dispersed, that's enough to provide 200 million lethal doses. Doomsday technology in an envelope.
If a terrorist wanted to create mass casualties with anthrax powder, he would probably disseminate it as an aerosol plume, not delivering it in envelopes. It could be released in an open area through a crop duster or some such thing. If he had more limited quantities, it would probably be introduced into the HVAC of a closed airspace like an office building.
The anthrax attacks forced the world to acknowledge a new lethal combination of technology and technique: biological weapons and terrorism. A bioweapon's effectiveness can be measured in terms
There
of
is breaking
lethality.
news now from the war in Syria, and this could be significant. Reports that chemical weapons have been used in that conflict. Now, if confirmed, this would be the first time that chemical weapons have been entered into this ongoing civil war, a war that stretches for 2 years. But which side used it? Now, state-run Syrian news agency claiming that 25 are dead in a rebel chemical attack in northern Syria. That means the government in Damascus is blaming the rebels. Connor Powell working this story live at our Middle East Bureau with more from there. Connor, what can you report?
Well, Bill, there's a lot of conflicting information right now coming out of Syria. According to Western intelligence officials, they tell us that unlike the reports that we're hearing right now out of Syria, that in fact it was the Assad regime used some type of chemical weapons on rebels in northern Syria, around the Aleppo region. Now, of course, the Assad regime and the Assad state television have said that rebels used those weapons. But what we're hearing right now from Western intelligence officials is just the opposite, that in fact it was the Assad regime used some type of chemical weapons and killed somewhere between 15 and 26 people. Again, conflicting reports. We've heard 15. We've also heard 26. So there is a lot of differing information right now. But we have confirmed, of course, that there have been some type of chemical weapons being used in Syria. Now,